Welcome. Are you sitting comfortably? Are you focused and not thinking about whatever's bothering you these days? I'm not here to test you. Please relax. Let your thoughts come and go and listen as they fade away in the distance. For better or for worse, this is where your life has brought you. Looking at a screen, listening to me. Imagine, for a moment, that you've just had a child. It's healthy, but unfortunately also completely blind. For their whole life, they will live in the dark and not see a thing. Their perception of reality is something that you might never be able to comprehend. How would you describe the world to them? What can't be touched or heard, smelled or tasted? How would you describe sunlight? By what it does? Or how it feels on their skin? I think I'd play them this piece of music. First composed by Tchaikovsky in 1878, these rays of light have traveled through decade after decade, finally reaching your ears this very moment. You have also traveled far to get here today, but you're only passing through and should probably get going.
I'd like to tell you a story. It all happened to me when I was young, walking in a forest, much like you are. Those were days filled with boundaries and rules. No running in the hallways, don't do this, that,
the other. With my world full of fierce discipline, I walked the forest to dream.
One day, deep in the woods, I found a funny-looking tree, crooked, old, and wrinkly.
With a little work, a few bits of bark became
huge ships.
Calm creeks turned to ferocious oceans. I can still recall the people I imagined
Dragged downstream with a sense of guilt.
As I gazed back upon the old tree, I noticed
something peculiar. It was crying.
Every crumble, like eyes closed tightly.
Clear drops streaming silently down its
wrinkly skin. So I did, as children do, tasted it. Not because it looked tasty, but
to figure out what it was.
The first drop made my tongue tingle.
The second made it prickle.
At the very moment
the third landed on my tongue.
a profound sensation spread through my chest. Undefinable,
Like thirst, both vague and specific.
One thing was clear. Something was changing within me. I remember breathing in
and out, feeding the fire.
twinkle in my fingertips.
I studied them closely, discovering circular ridges in the foreign landscape.
Of my skin, the prickling soon slipped my attention.
It would be another week until it returned. A wave of gentle needles
moving over my skin. A limb
Falling asleep, perhaps?
I did not start worrying until it returned for the third time. First making its way up my neck, before engulfing my skull completely from behind.
I could even feel the tiny needles covering
my eyeballs. But it did not stop there. I held my breath.
The small thorns crawled around my lips, before spreading into my lungs and stomach.
My awareness spread with it,
And I remember the strangest sensation of my mushy dinner in there, as if I held its remains in the palm of my hand.
my body took control and opened my mouth, an explosion of air rushing into my lungs.
The tingling spread with it through an endless web of veins, soon reaching my beating heart.
For a moment, I stood in awe of the activity
within my body.
I felt my heart beating faster,
And my skin sweating.
Your body is your only vessel in this world.
And when it misbehaves, the claustrophobia is total.
seek help.
I felt. Maybe at that very moment, the tingling needles shot from my brain down to the spine.
I felt them scatter through my upper leg. My muscles contracted as if my knee. My body
Weight shifted forward, and a shockwave spread from the foot
sole as it
landed softly on the ground. The process repeated itself in greater detail for every step.
I was overwhelmed, but my body kept moving.
I did not
at all feel like the boss giving directions.
It all happened automatically, and I was simply along for the ride.
Like you.
The doctor's office was cold and white.
Crossing the floor felt like a polar expedition. My parents' distant features of the landscape.
I wanted to explain, but was unable.
My lips and tongue engaged in an intricate choreography, myself in the audience observing the words performed.
My lips muttered, I'm sure it will
pass.
While my thoughts were crying for help.
conversation kept going.
But I stopped paying attention. Instead, I was following the hands of a clock
mounted on the doctor's wall. They were both
speeding up
And slowing down.
I was slipping further and further away.
A levitating camera in a video game.
merging with the code it was running on.
Again, with the binary, with the electronics, and so on. I closed my eyes
and let my sensations lead me.
First, I spent some time with my bones. Among their many functions,
I got lost in their continuous breathing.
An uninterrupted flow of calcium absorbed
And released.
Even my skeleton was alive and living, in
And of itself.
I could feel my mind clinging to the known, to the cluttering thoughts,
The buzzing of memories and fears for the future. But for each breath, tension was released.
And my shoulders sunk comfortably.
It had certainly felt like I was in there.
somewhere behind my face. But I was nowhere to be found.
And the more I looked, the more hazy I became.
When my eyelids eventually opened, they felt a slow
As a sunrise, photons converted
To neurons shooting along the optic nerve,
Each carrying a piece of information into the darkness.
The brain categorized motion, colors, edges.
distance. I sat for a moment in the dusk.
Watching the sunrise.
when the world
Eventually lit up. I was no longer wondering why matter lights up from the inside.
My experience changed from the fire to the light it is.
But it would get much stranger still.
Stretched, I started daydreaming. Or so I thought.
It began as a shimmering field creeping slowly in from the periphery of my vision. The hands of the clock still moving, but among them
Vague shapes. Slowly, but surely.
I saw trees blowing past me.
and among them,
Myself, sitting right there in the doctor's office, with vacant expression.
While walking around myself,
I was surprised to still see the clock straight ahead. Myself from the side, the clock on the wall.
the two images were not overlapping, they just
Existed.
Like imagining a familiar place with your eyes closed and you see both nothing.
and something at the same time. I turned to look
towards myself, but saw only the face of the doctor.
Lingering somewhere between confusion, concern, and ennui. However, when I studied his face closer,
I was struck by terror. The image of myself.
had turned to look straight into my own eyes.
I felt my own hand reach out towards myself. The weight of my hand
landing softly on my own shoulder. Eyes distant, looking at the doctor,
looking at myself. Rules and boundaries disappearing.
Delicate wave of nostalgia washing over me.
Intimate recollections of past sorrow, relationships, education, and even medical experience.
And at last, I was no longer alone.
Not in the sense that the doctor was there in the room, but rather that we were together.
In the darkness of my mind.
A vast number of sensations was still flowing, but now with two
servers to share the burden.